Animals really were just their names.
Mine Human, I would be scared of humans. I'd be scared of everything.
All right. So let's see if we can get started here. Maybe. Oh, why does the computer hate me today? All right. So all right, so we are in week 14, if my count is correct, of a basically 16-week semester, right? Because we're not going to count the week of Thanksgiving. All right, so we're going to do lab 8 today. I pushed back the due date for 7th to this Friday, so I changed that in course in, so the due date should reflect the 10th instead of whatever yesterday was. You guys want me to just go ahead and make 8 due next Friday instead of Tuesday?
Sure.
We're at the end. This is the last lab and assignment you have to do before we do the last project, and then we do the final exam.
Final exam is like 100 questions long.
Now I think it's like 50 questions still.
Oh my gosh, that's what I was stressed.
Okay, and the next question is the final exam comprehensive? Yes, every test you've taken in here has been comprehensive. Will it mostly focus on the stuff since exam 3? Yes, because there will be some stuff you have to know from the other parts of the semester, or it will, you have to know them anyway, or you couldn't do what we're doing now. Does that make sense? Yes.
So does it count like an exam for the purposes of the lowest grade exam is removed, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's actually an excellent question. So I told you, if you remember or you read the syllabus, because I'm convinced a good chunk of my students this semester did not read syllabuses. Syllabi. Anyway, I can't speak English today.
Just leave her alone.
There's a reason I don't teach English.
I like the word syllabus.
But it's fun to say it. All right, so syllabi didn't get read because I can't tell you how many people have said, can I turn something in late? And I'm very clear on the syllabus. This is not, I don't take late work.
Where's you gonna leave me at personal list?
Huh? Well, if you ask me in advance, it's not late. If you ask me 3 days after it's turned in, it's late. You see what I'm saying? Now, I had a couple of people this week email me and say, hey, we have the flu really bad at my house. Can I get a couple of days extension? I'm like, sure, I've already pushed it back to Friday anyway, but but they let me know before Tuesday. And I'll, if you let me know before the due date, I usually will work with you. But anyway, that's beside the point. But in the syllabus, it says that you'll have 4 exams and you can drop one. Well, if you count, we've only had 3, so the 4th exam is the final exam.
We just decided not.
So if you have an A average on your exams, you can choose not to come take the final or not log in and take the final. If you have a 90 or plus average already in tests, that's your decision. Everybody's going to check their grades now. Got it. If you did really poorly on one of the exams, you should come take it where you can drop that exam. Or you should take it online. It will be an online test like all the others.
Yeah, I need to take it.
That being said, the exam will open during the exam days. So every class has a specific date for their exam, but there's a 3 or 4 day window to get all the exams in. I will open it more than one day because that way my online students can choose which to take it. And I will let you know as soon as it opens and when it's going to close. It's going to be the first week of December though.
Yeah.
So I think on course day it says like December 1st because that's, I think, the earliest I can open it. But I have to give the final exam during the exam period. And no, you won't have a whole week to take it because the exam period is not a whole week long. So don't think, oh, I got all this week taken. Go look at the dates. I'll announce them in class because you won't go read. But anyway, so back to this week. We're going to work on lab 8. You need lab 8 and the golf scores to make this work. So if you're gonna work on it with me in class, you need to go ahead and download golf scores. And you need to do the same thing you did with the project. You need to create a folder that has that file and your Pi file in it. Unless you want to start putting path names.
You have to download grades.
You'll need it for assignment 8 if you want to go ahead and download it. You can put them all in the same folder if you want to, but we're not going to do assignment 8 in class today, I don't think.
Friday.
It's more of a Friday kind of thing, yeah. So the first thing you need to do is download golf scores, and if you want to download the directions, if you don't want to download the directions, you can just read them in the cute little window here. So I've already downloaded them. They're in my downloads folder. Right here. You can work on them from your downloads folder if you want to. I don't care where you work on them, but make sure that you save your .py file in the same folder. I generally put one on my desktop and everything in there. Now, golf scores is a very simple little text file. When you click on it, it actually shows you everything that's in it. So if it didn't download properly, you can just open up Notepad and put that data in there if you want to. But it should download as a text file with no problem. I've never had a problem getting it to download. So what I'm going to do is go to my desktop and I'm going to create a new folder. Maybe right click, new folder. I'm gonna call it Lab 8 because it's temporary for me anyway. And then I'm gonna grab both of these because I like to put the directions in there too. Makes my little brain. And I'm gonna copy and paste them into here. Now, I know some people like to work out their downloads folder. I don't get it, but if it makes you happy, I don't care as long as I get the work and it's right. So now I'm going to go open idle. And I'm going to do file, new file, and then file, save as. And I'm going to go back to my desktop, find my Lab 8, and I'm going to save it. Bad when you can't spell your own name. I put too many loops in it when I'm writing in cursive because A-C-E-Y, you just keep looping.
It's so satisfying.
It makes you feel really dumb when you've misspelled your own name, but hey. All right, so I've got this. I'm ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Wait. So, forgot to open the directions.
Wow.
Y'all want me to open the directions, right?
Yes.
8 minutes,
It's been 1 hour late.
less than 1 hour.
Oh. I didn't see it before at all.
All right, you got something? All right, I'm going to be honest with you. If you turn in an assignment that's less than an hour late, I'm still grading it. If it's less than, if it's in before the next morning, I probably grade it. But I definitely grade it if it's less.
That was a great thing, 8 minutes late.
Oh, you know what? Critical thinking, that's okay. Hate critical thinking.
Now, I do know that some professors won't grade them if they're 1 minute late, but I figure I have online students and the time zones might be just slightly different. All right, so let's start with this lab.
Sorry.
Hi. All right, so we're going to start with the lab. We already did step 1. We downloaded the golfscores.txt. We started idle. We created a new Python file, named it first name, last name, lab8.py. I just used my first name because I was being lazy. Part 0, we need to define a main function. So we're gonna define a main function. We're gonna put a print statement in here with your name in it. I've had students turn in with it typed your name. I also have had students turn in other people's work with other people's names in it. So, you know, don't do that. It's bad. Don't forget to go down here and put the main call in where you don't forget that later. All right, so we have our print statement. We added the line to call the main function. So now we're on to part one. We want to read the golf scores in from the file. So we're going to write a function called open and read golf scores. And open and read golf scores very specifically is only going to open the file, read the file, and return the file data. It's not going to manipulate anything. It's just going to open and read because functions do one thing and do them well. Right? So we're going to create a new function. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I'm sorry.
I heard his feelings.
I gathered that.
Yeah.
I gathered that I have hurt his feelings. I'm sorry. It's okay.
Wait, how many times have you told her your name?
It was to the point of giving us some extra TV on that.
Yeah, because you were annoying. Now you're not annoying.
Yeah, so that's
So I gotta be annoying.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Recording.
Look, listen. I even call my own children by the wrong name. It's okay. If you don't believe me, have Kiana ask me. Ask one of my
you just said
students.
my name wrong. That's
I give up. I give up.
Love it.
I give up. I give up. Y'all win. I give up. All right. So open and read golf scores. I know y'all don't like to read, so let me read this note to you out loud because heaven forbid you actually read the directions. Note, the data stored on each line of a text file is the golfer's name, then the golfer's last name, then first name, and then golf score. So it's not going to come in with a title row or, that tells you what each column is. I'm telling you in the direction. It's last name, first name, score. Right? Yeah. It's a comma separated field. Every field has a comma between the next one. So we're going to be able to use commas to split things out. Oh. So we're going to open the file to read only. And I told you in class using the notes, this PowerPoint slides, that to do that we use the R. The letter R means read only. So, anybody have a guess on what our first command needs to be? Not R.
Is it create the
So, we got to open the file. Open and read the file and assign it to a variable which will hold the open file object. So we need something here. I'm going to call it file. Right? I'm going to go over here and open. Just a suggestion for you guys. Go back to week 14 and get the PowerPoint.
I thought
Fire
you were
up.
gonna hang it for a second. I was very sad.
I would never, on purpose, I would never on purpose.
And have this available to go look at the commands you need. So like, here's the command we need, right? Could you name it golf data? Sure. I'm just calling it file because I like short things. We're gonna open the file. Then we need the file name, which if we remember back to what we downloaded, it should be golf scores. Let me go see exactly how that was saved. Yep, all run together, no capital letters. Capitalization usually doesn't matter in a file name, but don't forget the TXT because it's a text file. And then we're going to read it. So this needs two parameters. It needs the file and how we're going to open it. Don't forget at the end of this function, we want to close the file, but not till we get to the end of the function. We're going to need this loop in a minute, but so I'm going to leave it on the screen. And where did my directions go? I need another screen. I'm not used to working with only one screen. So create an empty list called scores. Okay. I remember how to do an empty list. The square brackets. I just did this with a Java student, and it's you have to actually call a function to do an array list. So scores, right? So it's empty right now. We don't want it to stay empty, so we're gonna need that loop I just showed you. So for score. Oh God. Okay, no jokes, but I'm gonna come up with something else. Just because you said that, I'm gonna come up with something else. All right. Oh, you're killing me. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna say, I need this format. We're not gonna print, but we will need this format. And then we're gonna also grab some of these things down here where we split it. So these two files, PowerPoint slides are very useful. I don't know how many of y'all are using my PowerPoints, but if you have been, they've been very useful. So we need to set up a for loop. I'm not using score now because she made that joke. So step data, when we read in a bunch of lines. So it automatically created a collection of data records. So we're going to be able to treat it like we would a list or any other collection. And we can do a current line in that collection. So when I go here, I can just put what we called the collection. We called it file. So for the current line in file, it's going to do this for every line, one line at a time. That makes sense? So if we have 10 lines, this loop's going to run 10 times. If we have 10,000 lines, this loop's going to run 10,000. We don't have that many lines. So we've got that. Now we need to, when we have a current line, we need to split the line on the commas into a temporary list of elements. So we're gonna override this list every time we go through the loop, so we need to do something with whatever we need on that line while we're in the loop. So we're gonna call the split function. We're gonna pass the parameter that we're splitting on and as our comma. We're going to append the third element, or index 2, to the empty list we created. So we created the empty list before the loop. Now we're going to go through each line, grab one single piece of data, and put it into our empty list where we can manipulate that data later. So basically, we don't care about their names. We only want the score. Does that make sense? So going back to the PowerPoint, I need the split command from down here, right? Instead of my string, though, it's going to be current line dot split. Let's see if I can copy them. I don't want to copy all that. I just want this line. And copying and pasting out of a PowerPoint is dangerous because it does not always work correctly. Because these sometimes don't come in correctly. They look right on this one, but sometimes they don't come in that way. And now in here, we can do scores dot append. Right? Because y'all done enough of the lists. We did the lab. This should make sense, right? This is why I say everything in this class is comprehensive, because you can't do the next section if you don't understand the section we did before. So does this make sense? Now, this function can return scores, and then we can manipulate the scores any way we want to in other functions. Right? So let's do that real quick. And let's see if it works by testing it in main. And I put it in a print statement because I just wanted to print out what the return is, right? It should print out the values in the list. Let's see what we get. So, is this what y'all were expecting to get? But
Directions, but.
you didn't listen when I read the directions out loud. We're only getting element 2, only getting the score. We're not doing the names because we don't care.
I think they're the same values.
I'll look at it in just a second. So remember on Monday I said that if you're using the last column, that you may have a problem because you're going to have the return character, which is invisible to you when you're looking at the file, but it's going to be in there. So basically, before we can use these as numbers, we'll have to eliminate the return character. Yes. Nothing happened. Did you put it in a print statement?
That's what it is.
Amazing. So you have two options here. You can wait till you're ready to use the numbers to strip off the return character. Or you can do it when you put it in there. Doesn't matter to me where you do it at. Do y'all have a preference? You want to do it now or you want to wait until they're numbers?
Now.
You want to do it now? Okay. So if we want to do that, we're going to need a temporary variable again. And I'm going to call it score for lack of creativity on my part. Is going to equal, go back and look at my, I could use split again, but I don't want to. Where's my phone? So think about your string functions. How do I take something out of a string? Remember slice? Anybody remember how slice works? Come on. So let's go over here to the API. This is all formatting. This is not what I wanted.
So it's just slice.
Why does it dislike me today?
Is this it? Yes. That's it.
I was going to show it to everybody, but obviously it doesn't like me today. So, all right. So we'll give up on the API and I'll just go type code. You know, teach me. So you have the string, which is going to be and then you have to give it a starting value and an ending value, right? Right? The starting value is inclusive. You actually don't have to put anything there. You could just leave it blank and then a comma because you want to start at the beginning. But I'm going to put the 0 in just for clarity. So we're going to start at the 0 element of that particular string, right? And we want to go until we see /n, because the first part is inclusive, the second part is not. The ending point is cut out of it, right? Yes. See? And now I have to change this to be the new thing we just created. And if everything went correctly and my brain didn't just have a malfunction, this should work. Why does string? We just looked it up.
I just work here.
You just worked it. It is the right one. Exactly what I was. Okay. Why does it hate me?
Do we have to put the step?
I don't think so, but we can try. Hmm. Not it. Nope. All right, so it hates us. So you know what we can do? We can go back to last week and get the PowerPoints. And see where I went wrong. Don't you love it when the teacher's wrong?
You're better than the top.
Dang on 'em.
Ooh, that was not nice.
Strings
Huh?
don't have a slice number icon.
Where?
It says that you have to use like split, like some variation like.
Split. Okay, well, let's use split. Okay, so slice is just, but why is it in the string function? Oh, whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've looked at two sites so far, just to like reference against each other, and both of them say that strings don't have a slice.
Oh, I guess they removed it. So let's use split. Split take 1 or 2 parameters. You pull it in. Okay. Let's just run it and see what happens. String cannot be interpreted as an integer. Oh, got it. Okay. So now we don't need this. Now we just need what we're splitting on. So let's split it into 2 lists. I don't need both. Okay. All right, so we split it into 2 lists. Now I just need the first portion. I didn't really particularly want to do it that way, but I'm going to go do some research and find out why slice all this why slice all of a sudden does not work, because that's annoying. All right, so this is the workaround I've come up with. We're going to split it into 2 different strings, and then we're just going to take the first one. You know, we're going to use a lot of lists for this one. Okay, we learned a lot about lists last week. I want to go back, and now I really want to go back to Java. So now I just have numbers. Now they're still strings. So before we do math, when we get ready to do the math, remember you have to convert every element into an integer. You all know how to do that, because we've done it a lot. Same with when we're doing input statement, right? Again, you could do it in here, but then we're start muddying up our open and read, and we're doing too many things in a function. So we'll wait and do it when we get ready to do some math. So the directions now tell us to return that. We did that. We printed it. The next thing it wants us to do is to write a function that will analyze the golf scores in the list. And when it's done analyzing, it's going to print out stuff. So we're not returning anything. We're going to do some math and some print statements. All right. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know all this about golf because I've never played anything but putt-putt until I started working on this. So just remember, the winning score is the lowest score in golf. The average score is self-explanatory. The score below par, that's the number of scores that are less than the number they think you should get on a golf course. Somebody that knows golf, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the average number of strokes for the entire course or something. But in this case, it's gonna be 280. I didn't pick this number, somebody that plays golf picked this, I don't know if that's
That was.
that course. So we want above and below par, and we want the scores at par. So we need the ones that are equal to 280, we need the ones above 280 and the ones below 280. All right? All right, so this shouldn't be that hard, right?
Sure.
Sure. So after reading this, I know that lists have a minimum and maximum and things like that in them, right? If they're numbers. So I am going to go back and force my string to be an integer before I put it in this list because I don't want to, I want to be able to use those pre-built functions. So right here, I'm going to go int. And I'm going to run it and see if they come out as numbers this time. Ah, yes, they do. So I want to do that and get it out of the way. Get rid of those silly string quotations, right? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I need a new function called analyze scores, which I can't spell.
Oh. You posted the,
Oh, nope. Good call. You understood this. I'm so happy for you. Don't forget to close your file. And this time it's going to take the scores list, right? Yes? Because it has to have something to work with. All right, so we're going to have 4 print statements. No. 5 print statements because I can count. Oh my God, it's gonna be a long day. 5 print statements where we're done, but we have to do the math for those print statements. Now you can do this 2 ways. You can set up all the math from the variables and then print out the variables, or you can try to do them in really long print statements. I'm gonna do the variables because it fits on the screen better than try to write really long print statements. Also, sometimes it's clearer for people as we're doing it. So make this a little bit bigger. Put some more blank lines in where we can scroll up a little bit. So in here, I need to get the winning score. So winning equals, is it, yeah.
Pardon. I got the split function to work, but I just noticed that the original TXT file seemingly has spaces on like 2 of the scores, like comma space score number.
It won't matter. You converted it to an integer, so it won't matter.
Hold on.
So we want the min of scores, right? Because that'll be the winning score, right? And then we want the average score. So how are we getting the average score? Right. And normally I would make you do this in or last time I made you do this in a loop, right? But there's actually something called sum. It'll sum it all up. unless I've vastly mistaken.
Could you do like some scores and then divide it by the length?
Yeah, I forgot to. Okay. I forgot to finish. I told you it's gonna be a long day. So you do the sum of the scores and you divide it by the length of the scores, right? So you can now all be angry with me because I required you to create averages through this last time using loops and iterating through them because I wanted you to practice using loops. That does mean that when you turn it into Unit 7, if you haven't already done it, you have to do it with a loop. You can't use sum. If you did use sum, don't tell me. I may not catch it because my brain may just read it as correct code and go on. All right, so you got that. The third one is below par. So this is actually going to have to, you're going to have a loop. You're going to have to iterate through them all and find out which one's below par. So I'm actually going to set up just one loop for this, for score in scores. And then I'm going to have if statements. If score is above, I'm going to add 1 to it. If it's below, I'm going to add 1 to it, that sort of thing. So I need 2 variables. I need 3 variables. Below, and it's going to be equal to 0 to start with. Above, going to be equal to 0. And equal to is going to be 0. So right now, we don't have any scores read in. We're going to do an if statement that's going to keep up with them all. Right? So if score equals to 80, I'm going to do equals plus equal 1. Else if score is greater than 280, I'm going to do above plus equal 1. And everything else should be below, right? So yes. Now, if you don't want to use the sum, you could have put average in here too and summed it all up in the same loop and gone from there. This makes sense? So now we just need our print statements. So print winning. And yeah, I'm abbreviating these because I just don't want to type the lines all the way out. Yeah. And that should be all 5 of them, right? All right, let's go do some testing. So now instead of printing this, I'm gonna save it as scores equals that, and then I can do and I don't have to have analyze equal to anything because it doesn't return anything, it just does print statements, right? Does this make sense? Now, I also could have just put the function call to open and read inside of the parameter list. I'll show you that in just a second. I like lots of steps. Some people don't. Some people like very condensed code. So let's run it and see what happens. So, looks right to me. I can go open the text file and count to make sure. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scores. Only one of them is exactly 280. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are above 280. 1, 2 are below it. So looks correct to me. I'm not gonna do the average in my head because my math will go wonky. Anybody get something different or find that? Is your math wrong or you got a coding error? Okay, check those in just a second. So if you did your math right and your code is all typed in perfectly correct, you should have got something that looked like this. How many of you actually got this far? One. I want to have one person indicating they got this far. All right, let's go back to the code. So, are you getting error messages or it just didn't give you the right numbers? Error messages. All right. So I'm going to leave the code up here. I'm going to come around and answer some individual error message questions. Can I scroll down a little? Absolutely. Everybody want to take a picture of this and I'll scroll. I wish that the monitors were bigger where I could get more code up there at a time. All right, ready to scroll? You can pay for prints that I've never used.
Can you go back up to?
No idea.
Whoa.
Wait till everybody gets what do you need at the top?
See what's the name.
See what?
What's the name?
I'll come look at yours while they're typing code. All right, I'm gonna start at the back this time because I started in the front last time.
Thank God.
Wow.
Yeah, they're on those, they should have it on.
Aren't you all eating help?
Especially when it comes in for these. What are you doing? I'm gonna go eat a big bear. I'm gonna go eat a big bear. Where? Oh, no. Come on. Go for it.
I'm certainly concerned for them, to be honest.
You weren't already?
That might go with
The arms.
higher.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
When that's it.
Cross-eyed.
All right. Oh.
Understand that. How-
You gotta stop the recording.
I'm good.
Why you stupid, boy?